Welcome back to part 2 of Breaking It Down with Michael, your host, Geyer Balog. I'm here with Michael Kramer.
Hi, Geyer.
And Michael, what's your shirt say?
I was hoping you'd ask me about this one this time. This shirt is one of my favorites. It's, "Oh, shut your stomata." And this is a chemical message sent by the microbes, as we talked about last time, in the rhizosphere, up through the plant to the base of the leaves, underside of the leaves, where the stomata are. And stomata is the mouth of the plant. That's where it exhales oxygen and inhales carbon dioxide. But bad microbes can also crawl in there if it's open. So the chemical signal, when they sense a bad microbe coming, is, "Oh, shut your stomata." And they clam the stomata shut. And they're protected. Then they start exuding their pesticides, and the bugs take off. They don't want anything to do with it.
You must get a lot of questions about that shirt.
This shirt's my favorite because everybody asks me. Because it's kind of like, "Oh, shut up."
Yeah.
But they ask me, we've had this shirt on go out just in restaurants, and we had one lady one time says, "I know what that means." Out of the blue, so we sat down and talked to her for 30 minutes, and they had a farm, and she was really interested in the product. So my boss wants to have a case of these shirts for all the salesmen to wear when they walk around, because it attracts conversation. Actually, I'm just a billboard.
For those who are just seeing this one, they didn't watch the first part, you're with BioChar,
American BioChar,
which I guess briefly is a product that helps heal the soil, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yes. It's basically stable carbon that we help the farmers add to the soil with a number of other organic amendments just to make the soil healthy and living. In other words, full of microbes and the ascendant arthropods, worms, all that good stuff, so that the soil is constantly churning through biological mass and creating fertilizers for the plants.
Now, how is your product, and I was just curious, how is it applied? Are you using like a drone, or are you, walking the fields?
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
We're really foaming at the mouth to get a drone fleet together, but we don't have one right now. So what I do is a couple of ways. If I'm dealing with a farmer that's raising cattle, like he's doing beef or dairy, we go into the barn and we identify where they feed them and where they would defecate and urinate, and that's usually they do the barn with sawdust and straw once a day, and they clean it out and put it in the compost pile. So what we do is we add maybe 1/8 of an inch of biochar on the stall, and this would be the naked char. It's charged with water, but it's there to absorb. It absorbs all the nutrients, all the things that are dropping out of the cattle, and that goes out into the compost pile every day. It holds all the liquid nutrients there, the urine in particular, so that the microbes in the compost pile, they get a full dose of all this good stuff. Then we take it to the field. Now, most of those guys will spread it in the field in a furrow and turn it for a while until it decomposes to where they then want to put it in the field for spreading. What we're trying to help them understand is cows mainly produce bacterial microbes, and you need normally have a balance of fungal. So at the last turning in the field before they spread it, we add a fungal spores, and then when it's spread into the field, those fungal spores will germinate and start generating a fungal network, a mycelium network, which is a big constituent in feeding the plants through the organic process.
So this is something that you're applying right when they're working up the field with their plow. This isn't something that you just drop on a hay field that hasn't been worked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plow's a cuss word, but I'll let you say that. But that's okay. We're trying to help farmers get to the point where they look at the soil as something they have to protect. The plow, discs, all those things should be. Plows, that is a cuss word. But a disking or a small tilling or a shallow where you don't really disturb too much of the mycelium network. Once you destroy that, that's like taking all the super highways out in the United States. You can't move things around in the soil very much. They call it the internet, but I'm an old guy, so I'm not so much into the internet, but it's a super highway for nutrients in the soil and information.
So the goal with your product is to work the field up as little as possible, really?
As little as possible.
Okay.
My dream is to keep tractors out of the field.
Okay.
Minimize the impact to the soil. I'm here to grow soil. Soil grows the plants. Really, it's that simple. Basically, when we came here and plowed the prairie, the plow was the cuss word, but the prairie had 2-foot deep soil, living soil. Stuff jumped out of the ground. And then maybe we depleted a little bit, so we added some fertilizers, which the Germans told us was a good thing to do, and it jumped out of the ground again. But once we depleted that living soil to the point where we had to add more and more fertilizers, the plants are growing, but they're not healthy. They can't support themselves in the sense that they can't fight off insects. We have to do all that work. The farmers have to add more amendments, more pesticides, more, and pretty soon it becomes an unprofitable situation.
So I guess with this product, and I know it's hard to say with quantities, but if you had a 100-acre field, how much of this are you spreading to cure that whole field?
Well,
and
to start it
over
off,
how big of an area,
yeah,
I guess, too?
if it's junk soil and you're spraying, we would probably go in with 1 gallon an acre. And that's going to start the process off. And say if it's fall feeding, where you put in a cover crop and you're going to spray at that point to feed, you're feeding the microbes, you're feeding the soil then, because the cover crop's eventually going to get turned back into the soil to feed those microbes. You put 1 gallon an acre on, and maybe spring, you think about that. Depends on how bad the soil is. I mean, if I could, wave a magic wand from here and tell, they don't need me anymore.
Right.
The farmers can figure it out themselves.
Right.
Basically, they can figure it out themselves. I'm going to go there and just show them a few things I look for. I'll test the soil with my microbiometer. We'll talk about it and feel it, and it makes so much sense that even if they're using chemical fertilizers, I can help make that more profitable for them.
Well, and is this something, too, that you're applying to 1 or 2 acres to spread to 5 other, or is this something
No.
that pretty much needs to be applied to the entire...
Yeah, you want to apply it to the field.
Okay.
If you're doing your garden, you just do the seed bed. If you're, sort of smaller plots, you can be more selective. But when you're doing a field, nobody's that controlled. You got to spray the whole place. The drones, now this is why we wanted to get into drone technology, because then a fall feeding could be done where you could seed a cover crop with a drone and then feed it with a drone, and you don't even touch the field. The less compaction, the less tractor in the field, the better for the soil. And I represent dirt to turn it into soil. That's my job.
Okay.
Well, once it's soil, you don't need me anymore. You may call me back once in a while because I need to buy some beef from you or something.
So I guess long-term then, if this is not applied, you're saying that the fields are just going to keep producing with more pesticides, and eventually the soil is just going to get worse and worse and worse.
It gets to a point where you can't, we're at that point now in many of the fields. The fertilizer runs right through. The sand can't hold it, so it runs into the groundwater. So there's a lot of nitrogen pollution in wells in farms. A lot of farmers suffer from that, health-wise.
And is there any data on the yield when they use it, like 1, 2, 3 years down, how much their crop is?
Yeah, there's data. We actually have brochures that talk about that, and if I can get together with them, like I said, I'm looking to get together with these guys anywhere. I'll go to church or after church. I'll sit at the coffee bar with them and bring information and test data they can see. And then at that point, even if they want to do a test plot, all of this stuff, they're showing me. I don't expect these guys to believe me hands down. I can show them all the test data, but then they need to try it.
So they could call you up and say, I just want to try it on 1 acre and see how it goes, and then
Yes.
trial period. Okay.
Yes.
Now, where are they, for the farmers that are watching, where are they going to learn more about this product?
Well, right here. I'll come and talk to anybody, or they can go on the website at AmericanBioChar.com.
Okay.
There's a lot of information on the website, and you can get a lot of information from there, but anything you need clarification on, I'd love to talk to you. That would be a lot of fun. And I'll bring a lot of brochures and information, and we'll look at your soil, because that's really where it starts. You look at the soil. You might have great soil. You might only need, a little bit to stimulate the fungal growth. You might have a decent bacterial base because you've got cattle. So these are the things we look at, but it's all organic, it's all natural, it's all to build living soil.
Well, it's this gas too, so you said it comes from pine needles, right?
Well, the biochar comes from southern yellow pine. There's a lumber industry in the southern states that makes the building materials that, as a carpenter, I used to put houses together with southern yellow pine. It's very hard, very strong, softwood. So that's what we use because it's a really stable biochar.
So this isn't like a scarce resource, though. We can keep getting this resource
Yes.
all day long, essentially, as much as we
Yes.
need.
Farmers can even make it.
Okay.
I mean, I can show them how to do that. For me, it's all about the farmers. This is my mission. And biochar, we're going to do fine because we're using this all over the country. You know, we're trying to get this into every field we can in the country because we need to get off of the chemicals and get these farms more profitable.
Now, as far as the company BioChar, where did it come from? I mean, is it just something that's brand new? Has it been around for a few years or
It's been around for a
decades?
long time.
Okay.
Mark Mann, the founder, and his wife, Lori Mann, she's the microbiologist, Mark's a forester, and they started really by helping foresters with trees. You know, adding this biochar, injecting it in around the root zone of a tree has tremendous effects on fruit trees, almond trees, all the food from trees. It can be greatly affected by this as plants in farm fields. So that's where they started, and then him and a partner of his started aligning up all the yellow pine producers, and they have portable furnaces. They take it to the mills and they make the biochar. Then they process it. We add humate when we mill it down to 4 mils, so you can be sprayed through 5 mil sprayers, and then we add a humate, which is mined humus, and this is organic humus from 100,000 years ago, and it's basically to feed the microbes. Stays in the biochar, feeds the microbes, starts that whole regeneration of the microbiological community, which is what I'm all about. Really, I'm a microscopic cattle farmer, and I have a 300-acre barn.
Well, and with this product, I guess, too, I mean, it seems like such a cool product. How come this isn't more widely known?
We actually discovered this. It was first seen in the 1800s when they went into the Amazon. The Spanish and the Portuguese went into the Amazon. And in the Amazon, all the nutrients are in the canopy. It falls to the ground, it's dissolved quickly and fed into the canopy. The soil is relatively junk, 1-2 seasons, and then you got to do something else. So in that forest, people lived there, quite a few people actually, and they found these pits 2 to 6 feet deep of carbon. Biochar is what it was. And they grew enough food in these isolated little plots to feed 1.5 million people in the Amazon in the height of that civilization. Nowhere else in the world was this found. So they discovered that biochar, the fire waste, created a tremendously stable environment for the microbes, and they just grew tremendous amounts of food for all these people, whereas the jungle wouldn't do that. That's where we learned about it. Some German scientists have worked with it. They've used it in deserts and turned the deserts back into green. So it's been around for 40, 50 years in a commercial sense, but not really, they haven't had yucks like me pushing it. And I believe in it so much, and I love the food. This area is such a wonderful area.
And you're based out of Alpena. That's really cool.
I'm based out of Alpena, and I get all my food from this area. So I like that. I want to keep that going. Plus, the farmers are wonderful people. So I don't want those children to leave the farm. I want them to stay there.
So if someone wants to go the organic route and they want to increase their yield, this is kind of the route they should be
This
going.
is the way to do it.
Okay.
This is absolutely the way to increase your yields and make it easier.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. It's been a very interesting topic, and I hope if people know more, they can go to your website, biochar.com.
They can go to the website and they can call me up, and I'll show up at their door with a bunch of information, and we'll have a great time looking at your dirt, which I can turn it into soil. Thank you, Geyer. This is really fabulous. This is what I need, is to get the word out to farmers. So thank you so much.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.